We're back with another geography now, and this time the country of Latvia.
Yeah, it's the country that one of the countries I confused the most in geography class, on European geography, with Lithuania, but now I know it. Latvia kind of looks like a U, I guess.
Yeah, I guess
No,
so.
no, not really.
it's just above Lithuania. It's the one above.
Yeah, kind of more like a ray gun.
It's
I
a
don't know.
country that we've never been to, but I would like to see. I really would like to see the Baltic countries up there. They seem very interesting with a very different history than a lot of other places in Europe. So I would be very curious to go over there and check it out. But until then, we just have geography now and videos to react to before we actually go.
Get a little knowledge here. We're Americans. We need some more knowledge on different countries around the world.
Knowledge.
So we're getting Latvia this time, and you can let us know what to check out next to gain some more knowledge on the world, or specifically Latvia, please.
Knowledge. Let's jump into it. Here we go.
Once again, if you don't know anything about the Baltics, it basically goes like this. Estonia is a depressed yet attractive nerd girl who lives right next to...
Come play with us, Estonia.
Welcome to the first
Wow.
sister of the creepy Baltic twins.
It's time to learn geography.
Now! Hey everyone, I'm your host Barbs. Look, I'm sorry I called it the creepy Baltic twins, but it's kind of true. Latvia is one
Really?
of those countries that just kind of naturally exudes this ambiance of charming, mystical, dark undertones
Whoa.
surrounded by subtle flares of despair, and they're cool with it. And here's the thing, Latvia is the
Interested?
good twin.
Now I'm intrigued.
No, but seriously, jokes aside, Latvia does come with an incredibly vibrant culture rooted in unique traditions found almost nowhere else on Earth. Let's find out where it all goes down in. Oh, Latvia, you're like the most adorable horror show ever. Let's jump in. First of all,
the
Latvia
heck?
is located in the northern...
I did not expect these descriptions when we started this. Horror show, creepy, mystical.
Yeah, I don't know like anything about Latvia, but he's just been railing on it. Not railing on it, but he's calling it creepy.
I'm intrigued.
European region known as the Baltics due to the location on the Baltic Sea, surrounded by 4 other countries. The country is divided into 110 municipalities and 9 republic cities, with the capital Riga located along the
Dang, that's
aptly
a
named
lot
Gulf of
of
Riga.
stuff.
Yeah, that's right, 110 municipalities. But keep in mind though, most Latvians like to
Jeez.
reference the 5 historical regions of Latvia for cultural
Okay.
distinction: Kurland, Semigalia, Salonia, Vitseme, and Latgale. Speaking of Kurland, fun side note, Latvians actually once colonized Africa and the Caribbean under the Duchy of Kurland. They took over Tobago, and remember in the
Oh.
Gambia episode we talked about the Kunta Kinte Island? Yep, that was Latvia. See guys, you gotta
Oh.
watch those obscure
Weird,
African country
wow.
videos. Like those are the ones with the strangest backstories that give you the best secrets for history. Anyway, the largest cities after Riga are Daugavpils and Vec Liepāja, and the 2 busiest and international airports are Riga International and Liepāja International. Now Riga may be the capital, but it's a river city on the Daugava River, not a port city. So most shipments must come in either at Ventspils or on Liepāja on the Baltic coast. The funny thing is, even though Latvia has a decent sized coast, it owns virtually none of the islands that come with it. Even this little guy, Ruhnu, which belongs to Estonia, even though it's closer to Latvia's mainland.
Wow,
Dude,
don't
can I just
know.
have one island so I can build a patrol station? No.
Oh, and if you look closely at the border with Estonia, they have Valga, which is a town split in half by the 2 nations. Now, if there's one thing about Latvia that
wow.
makes it stick out, it would have to be the architecture. Riga is famously known for its Nouveau-style buildings, which won the title of
Oh.
European Capital of Culture back in 2014.
That is
The city has
cool.
over 4,000 historic wooden buildings, more than any other European city. And of course, if you Google Latvia, it's hard not
This
to come
is,
across the most
reminds me
historic
once
wooden
again
buildings,
of,
more than-
we said this about Estonia in some places, but like these type of buildings remind me of Georgia.
Yeah, in Tbilisi, there's like a huge section of the city that looks very similar to that.
That's really interesting to see that type of stuff because we've never, until we went to Georgia, we've never seen buildings like this like ever.
buildings, more than any other European city. And of course, if you Google Latvia, it's hard not to come across the most iconic building, the House of Blackheads, originally built in the 1400s. It was bombed in World War II
I have a
and
lot of
rebuilt.
blackheads.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
The country
wow.
does come with an austere backdrop. Back in Soviet times, things got pretty morbid, and you still see the residue to this very day. You can see ghost towns that were once used to house Soviet officials and their families, like Skrudna 1, an abandoned radar station village
Skrudna
complete with
1.
decaying apartments,
Radar
schools, and
station,
gymnasiums,
wow.
all adorned with Lenin and Soviet imagery left to rot. The Latvians kind of use this to their advantage, though. They even took a military prison and made it into the world's creepiest hotel. The Karausta Military
so
Prison Hotel, in
interesting.
which you can pay to be treated like a prisoner of war in World War II Nazi
What?
Germany times. Your accommodations include
What the
getting yelled
heck?
at and arrested, sent to a dark, damp, gritty room with no beds, only a light mattress and blankets on the floor, no room service, and you get locked in your room. Latvia!
That's
Speaking of
crazy.
That sounds like a vlog.
That would be cool. I want to go to Latvia even more now. It'd be cool to go to one of those abandoned cities and look around at some of the old Soviet stuff and then do something weird like that prison.
We can rent a car and find that. Let us know more about that hotel if it's still relevant, because this video is obviously kind of old.
That's really cool. COVID probably shut it down before we get to go.
Who knows?
Dang nabbit.
Include Riga's old city, the Basilica of Aglona, Turaida and Koknese Castle ruins, the Monument of Freedom, Rundal Palace, sometimes called the Versailles of the North, the Art Nouveau district and the Art Nouveau Museum in Riga, the Mark Rothko Museum, pretty much the entire city of Sesis, Ziemelu Northern Forts, and the Daugavpils Fortress. Alright, that covers that. Now we get into Latvia's land makeup, and to add to the somber undertones, it's gonna get a bit swampy. All the lands of the Baltic areas are like copy, paste, done. So if you watch the Estonia episode, you'll probably know what I'm gonna say.
we did.
Latvia is located on the East European plain, generally a flat area, on average no more than 100 meters above sea level, with mild
Dang.
rolling hills every so often. The highest point, Geisenkalts, is only about 312 meters. Fun side note, Latvia actually had a little competition with Estonia, which kind of went like this. You know, Estonia, you got some great forests. You know, I admire that about you.
Oh, psh, come on. Yours are nice too.
Oh, well, you know, either way, it's not like we're gonna be climbing any huge summits, right? Because we are flat countries. We are flat.
Oh, you're telling me my highest peak only 318 meters. How about yours?
Give me a second.
Trouble.
Oh, what a coincidence. Mine's basically the same height, just, you know, a little bit taller, but yeah, just whatever, yeah. Then in 2012, the tower was demolished because of safety concerns. About 10% of the country is made up of...
They didn't even
ponds.
build it good. They
They
just
just-
built
They
some
probably built it
shabby
quick
one.
just so they can say they beat them.
Well, that we should have went up and it would be shaking and be like, "Is this safe? I don't know. It's got to be safer, right?"
Do you think it's safer than the Nagercote one in Nepal?
Oh, that one was pretty rough. It was pretty high. I mean, it was probably like 30 feet high, and we had to climb up just a ladder, straight up a ladder to get to the top.
It was just all thin metal pipes holding it up, and they looked a bit rusted in the corners.
There was like 10 plus people up there too. Probably not the safest thing, you know. Nepal didn't seem like the safest country in general when we were there.
Yeah,
But,
purely based off of infrastructure.
Yeah.
Swamps, and over half the country is forested. That's actually an increase as Latvia is experiencing natural afforestation. That's the opposite of deforestation.
Oh, that's cool.
Just so you know, it's
Yeah, we get it. Just keep going, Paul.
The country has over 12,500 rivers. The longest one, as mentioned before, is the Daugava. And Latvia has the widest waterfall in Europe, the Ventas Rumba, about 250 meters wide, and the largest lake in the country being the Lubans. Otherwise, economically, Latvia has seen an overall huge GDP resurgence since the independence from the Soviet Union. Basically, they had to switch everything from state-owned to privatization, and when that happens, people usually get very creative. I mean, why do you think they built that prison hotel? Their economy is mostly run off of industrial goods like textiles, wood products, pharmaceuticals, and processed foods. Agriculture-wise, Latvians love two things: meat and dairy. Almost every meal will have these two things. If you don't know anything about Baltic cuisine, basically it's hearty, heavy meals with rye bread, lots of butter and fat with little or no spices, except for maybe dill and caraway seeds. They love caraway. They even put it in their cheeses. Of course, they also have their own specialties like sklandrausis, those bacon and onion bun things, and the national liquor, Riga Black Balsam, which has like 24 different ingredients and it
Balsam?
supposedly cures illness, as it
Balsamic vinegar?
when she visited and drank some. Oh, and the national animals are the white
Oh, that's a
wagtail
cool
bird
bird.
and the two-spotted ladybug. However, Latvia is also famous for the blue cows of Kurtzeme. Okay,
Whoa.
is that it? Tallest
Babe the Blue Ox from Paul Bunyan. Is that
Yeah, is
where
that
it's
the-
based off of?
Yeah, in Minnesota, there's some folk tale of Babe the Blue Ox,
And it kind of looks like that, but in the cartoons, it's a lot more blue.
and a lot bigger.
Yeah.
That's what
That
formed
is
all
that
the
it?
lakes in Minnesota.
Yeah, he was just stomping along, cutting down all the trees. That's a interesting, yeah. Look at Minnesota might not be that old, but we already got our old folk tale. Paul
yeah.
Bunyan.
Tallest peak, longest river, largest lake, economy, food, national animals. I put a skit in it, yada yada. Okay, yeah, I think we got it. Okay, moving on. Now, it's often said that if you want to learn how Europeans were speaking in the Stone Age, learn Latvian or Lithuanian. First of all, Latvia has about 2 million people and has the second lowest ratio of men to women in the world at 0.85 men per one
Estonia
woman.
was the
Remember, Estonia
highest.
was the highest. The
Yeah.
country is made up of 63% of people that identify as ethnically Latvian, about a quarter are Russian, and the rest are made up of other groups, mostly Belarusians, Ukrainians, Poles, and Lithuanians. They use the euro as their currency, they use the Type-C plug outlet, and they drive on the right side of the road. About the sex ratio thing, just like the other Baltic states, Latvia experienced a huge population population loss during World War II. In fact, almost 13% of the entire country was killed, one of the highest percentages in Europe. And of course, the vast
That's
majority of these people
insane.
were men. And just like all the other Baltic states, a lot of these women grew up to be supermodels or insanely tall, like 7'1", 2.15 meter tall Ulyana
My
Semyonova,
gosh.
who helped Latvia get all these gold medals back in the Soviet times in basketball.
Jeez.
She was the first non-US woman enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame. Yeah, that is a tall woman. Today, Latvian and Lithuanian are the only two
Got a bit
Baltic
of an
languages
advantage.
left in existence. The last relative, Old Prussian, went extinct in the 19th century. Basically, these two languages are related and even have some similar words, like labsvakaras versus labasvakaras, skola versus skolos, and they both use sveki. Basically, Latvians have
Sveki.
told me that to them, Lithuanian sounds like an older, more ancient version of Latvian, and if they listen really hard, they might be able to pick up a few words and phrases, but overall, it's still kind of difficult to understand. And keep in mind, most Latvians learn at least a little bit of Russian, since a quarter of their population is Russian. However, English is more favored for business and global outreach. Now, here's where things get a little unique. The Baltics were one of the last places to convert to Christianity in Europe. Faith-wise, about a third identify, at least nominally, with the Lutheran Church, a quarter with Catholic, and about 20% Orthodox. However, many of the people are not very religious. However, what's interesting is that the ancient pagan traditions are heavily synchronized and still celebrated today. Basically, there are about 10 main Baltic tribes that eventually merged into what became Lithuania and Latvia, whereas the Finno-Ugric tribe, the Livonians, became Estonia, all of which started out as pagan. Baltic paganism incorporated a Rolodex of gods, goddesses, and spirits that took over various elements and concepts of daily life. You had the fate goddess, Laima, the fertility and harvest god, Yumis, Zemis Mate, the mother of earth, and so on. To this day, dressing up in traditional pagan-influenced
Oh my
masks.
gosh, those are scary as nuts, I gotta say.
Something just about not seeing any facial features except for like a nose and like just holes for eyes.
And then
Kinda
having
creepy.
this scraggly beard coming off of it, man,
Yeah.
That is-
No, thank you.
horrifying. I would not want to see that in the woods in Latvia if we were exploring some Soviet city. Suddenly you see this thing in the corner and you hear...
They bring us to a prison hotel, but it
Oh,
wouldn't be a hotel.
Oh no, no.
Costumes during festivals is widely practiced, especially during solstice festivals. They take solstice very seriously. They even have like an ancient traditional pagan calendar with symbols and everything
Wow.
like that. One of my Latvian subscribers sent this to me for Flag Friday. Thank you. And speaking of festivals, just like Estonia and Lithuania, every 5 years they hold a song and dance festival where the entire country pretty much gets involved. Oh shoot, history. Yeah, okay. So before I get into this, if you really want a cool visual, just check out this cool stop motion video by YouTube channel Ansis99. So many of you guys have sent it to me. You don't even have to speak Latvian to understand it. It's really cool. Check it out. But in the best way I can personally put it, paganism and tribal
Maybe we can check
kingdoms,
out that
Northern
video.
Crusades,
Yeah,
the state of
that'd be cool.
Livonia, Germans, Danes, Poles, Lithuanians, Swedish all take turns at invading. Finally, Russians come in. World War I, War for Independence. They get their first republic for a few decades. Then Russia comes in and is like, JK, I'm back. They become a Soviet republic state. Tons of people die. 1941, Nazi occupation. Tons of people die again. Soviets
Dang.
come in and reclaim Latvia. Yada, yada, yada. All the Soviet years. Russians move in. 1991, independence through the Singing Revolution that they did with all the other Baltic states. 2000s, they went through an economic boom. 2008 recession. And today they're recovering and doing fine, mostly. Some notable people from Latvia or of
It's
Latvian
quite the
descent
history.
include Yanis Kakste, Andres Pumpurs, Christianis Barons, Rainis and his wife Aspazia, Arvins Lumentals, aka the Crocodile
Who's the
Dundee, Mark
crocodile?
Rothko, Jake
Crocodile
Aspazia,
Dundee?
Arvins Lumentals.
Inspiration for
Inspiration.
Crocodile Dundee. Interesting.
Oh.
It's weird that a Latvian guy would be the inspiration since there's no crocodiles in Latvia.
Yeah, it doesn't strike me as a Latvian-looking guy either.
No, no.
aka the Crocodile Dundee, Mark Rothko, Jacob W. Davis, he invented jeans, Kristaps
Hey.
Porzingis, the music group The Hobos, Frederick Wilhelm
Hobos.
Oswald, Alexander Slaime, Anatoly Solovyev, Ginta Lapina, Bill Rabane, and the music group Carnival Youth. Whew. So as you can see, Latvia is an interesting tradition-holding, somewhat dark past-oriented nation that moves with haste. Let's see who's tagging along with the ride with them now, shall we?
Yeah, the past does seem quite dark.
Yeah,
Now, in
there's a lot of hardship throughout, a lot of conquest where they were just in the middle of it. Very unfortunate.
And then 91 is when they gained their independence. They'll be about 30 years old.
Not that long ago. There's a lot of Hard history.
Well, have you ever been sent to detention and while in detention you started talking to the person next to you and found out that you actually had a lot in common? Yeah, it's kind of like how Latvia made friends. As a
No,
member of the
that's
EU
never
since
happened to me.
2003, as well as NATO and the Council
Good
of
boy.
Europe, Latvia has significantly opened up to their Western counterparts and has seen tons of diplomatic measures taken from the Germans, French, Polish, and Italians. Latvians get along pretty well with Ukrainians and Georgians as they shared the same Soviet-occupied past, and a significant minority of people in Latvia are Ukrainian. Iceland was actually the first country to recognize their independence, and they shared the same
Iceland.
seats on the Council.
Iceland
of
always
the
recognized
States,
independence
even though
early.
Iceland is not
They
a
love
Baltic state,
independence.
but when it comes to their best friends, most Latvians would probably say Lithuania and Estonia, even though Estonia pays more attention to Finland. All three Baltic states grew up together and graduated college, but Estonia got closer to Finland, and out of jealousy, Latvia kind of tried to hook up with Sweden, but Sweden was like, eh. Lithuania is like the
Interesting.
twin that was separated at birth. Latvian territory was taken over by Germans in the 13th century, and Lithuania kind of went off and created its own empire with the Poles. In the end, though, the two sisters have always held on as the last surviving Balts in the world, and as crazy as things got, they will always be there for each other. In conclusion, Latvia has had a lot of pressure over the years from numerous factors, but they still pull through by embracing the austerity that enshrines them. Stay tuned, Lebanon. is
All
coming up
right,
next.
Latvia. Way more interesting of a history and like just country than I expected, to be honest.
And surprisingly quite different things to learn about than Estonia, which typically as an American you just kind of assume Baltics. If you even know what the Baltics are as an American, you just assume they're all pretty similar. But we got to learn a lot of new stuff.
I'm curious how similar Lithuania and Latvia are, since those two seem to be closer than Estonia and Latvia. So that'll be interesting once we do Lithuania in one of our reactions.
I'm sure that's going to be coming very, very soon.
Yeah.
Check out this channel. We got a lot of geography now on this channel already, and we're going to be doing a lot more reactions. If you're interested in seeing something, let us know.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.